Yeah, so when I created this channel, I originally imagined doing like these high class, high value, clever, well produced, original, thoughtful video production essays. Right, and then I was like, no, there's no chance I'm gonna do that. Right, I don't have time, and also I don't really care about putting out that type of content. I'm perfectly happy putting out rambly slop content with slop editing. And so, in keeping with this new ethos that I'm going to be building this channel around, I thought the first topic should naturally be everyone's favorite slop series, Harry Potter. Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. But I don't want this to be like the usual like Harry Potter discourse, like J.K. Rowling's evil or J.K. Rowling's fucking based, right? I don't care about that. I don't care about any of that. And I don't care about the plot hole debates either. I don't care like, oh, this doesn't make sense because they could have cast this spell. Like or this character was actually a really good character. I don't care about that, right? I'll be honest. I barely remember the books. It's been like more than 10 years since I read them, and the only reason I'm even thinking about this is because my girlfriend likes Harry Potter, and so I watched the movies again recently with her, and a bunch of stuff like bothered me, right? And it's bothered me for a long time. Like this has bothered me since I was like, well, not a kid, but like a teenager, right? And it's basically two things, right? And it's how good and evil is conceived in the Harry Potter universe, in particular, evil, and how the books are basically like Blairism, right? It's just basically Blairism, and once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is the conception of evil, right? Because this is like the main problem with Harry Potter. If you take something like, I don't know, what's like another fantasy series, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, right? The moral lines in that are pretty clear. It's like you got good and you got evil, right? You got these little hobbit people and they live in holes and they're all friendly to each other and they smoke bagpipe weed or bagweed, I don't know what it's called, and they just want to eat food. And then you got these spawn of Satan, these like literally they come up from the mud, right? These evil troll, I don't know if they're trolls, they're like orcs, right? They're the fucking baddies, right? And it works. It's like black and white view of good and evil works because it's a fantasy genre. It's a fake world. It doesn't exist in real life, right? Middle Earth does not like exist in real life. The difference with like Harry Potter, it's also fantasy, right? But it's like half in the real world. It's like rooted in the real world, and it's initially presented as a reflection of the real world. So you have something like Diagon Alley. It's like it's in the heart of London. It's this secret alleyway, and there's wizards and stuff, right? And then you have I don't know, like what else? Harry begins his story. He doesn't even know wizards exist, right? He's whatever. And then you got these mudblood wizards, and they come from normal families, and it's like there's this it's like this secret thing, but it's fundamentally it's rooted in like the real world. And so the characters should feel grounded and human. But Rowling's conception of evil is like the most inhuman it's like the most inhuman, like it's almost satirical. It's like two-dimensional. Okay? And you see this most clearly, like right in the first film, like how the characters are sorted into houses, right? The housing thing, where it's like everyone in Slytherin, right? The Snake House, they're just bad. They're bad. They're mean. They're bullies. They're cruel. They're arrogant. They're proud, right? They're just the baddies, right? With the exception of Snape, and I'm sure some fucking nerd is going to be like, no, well, actually, there's another. If you read Potter Law, article page 240, there's actually a good Snake character, Slytherin character. So I don't care. Right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how the films present themselves, how the books present themselves. Right? As far as I can tell, there's no good. I mean, I guess there's that Slughorn bloke, but even he's a bit of a prick. So everyone in Slytherin is a bad guy, right? And everyone in Gryffindor is like a good guy, and that framing like exists throughout the whole series, right? Even the Snape thing feels like something she just wrote in at the end, right? Like I want to make this a bit more interesting than it currently is, right? And then she like double downs on it throughout the film, right? Where whenever the good guys do something bad, it's like it's never their fault. it's like they're just reacting to the world around them. They're like never bad people. So you have, like, for example, Ron wearing the locket. Like, Ron's lowest moment when he betrays his friends, he gets consumed by jealousy, he thinks Hermione and Harry are fucking behind his back, right? And he just gets this overwhelming jealousy, and he's furious and he's angry, and it culminates in him leaving them. Right, but then even that's like not really his fault, because he's wearing this locket which makes your personality foul, right? It's the Horcrux. It's just not his fault, right? So the books never present the idea that the good guys can simply choose to be evil at times, or not even choose, but they can have these personal moral failures. Everything's determinist. It's like there are good people and there are bad people, and the good people do good things and the bad people do bad things. And whenever the good people do bad things, please understand this, it's not their fault, right? And if you compare this to like left-wing or right-wing moral frameworks, it just doesn't make sense, right? You have like the left-wing materialist conception of morality, where people do bad things because of their material circumstance. So if someone robs a bank, right, it's because they needed the money. They were poor, and they did a bad thing, but it was only because they had to do it. And then you have the right-wing view, which is like this idea of like this personal moral struggle. You know, the line between good and evil cuts through every person's heart, and you could do both. You're not a good person, you're not a bad person, you're just a person, and you're capable of good and you're capable of evil. And I'm not saying either view's right or wrong, like I don't care about that. But the point is it deviates from both of them. It's like, nope, there's fixed categories, there's good people and bad people, and good people don't do bad things, right? And this is just like, it's like a fucking kid wrote this. it's like an actual child wrote this, right? But they double down on this idea throughout the whole thing. So there's like, I was looking up deleted scenes a while back, and I found a few that I just thought were really interesting. So there was that one where at the end, I think it's like the last battle, Harry and Voldemort like scrapping it out, right? They're, Expelliarmus, and it's like, no, abracadabra, right? And I don't know, it's right before that, and Harry's playing dead. He's playing possum, and he falls out of Hagrid's arms and grabs his wand, right? But in the deleted scene, Draco throws the wand to Harry. Draco being the bad character, he's Harry's bully, right? He's a baddie. And this moment shows actually Draco isn't fundamentally bad. There's like a degree of moral complexity there. There's something there, right? There's some kind of, whether it's redemption, whether it's dynamism in his character, there's something there. And then they just they just deleted it from the film. It's like 2 seconds, and they were just like, nope, gone, deleted. We don't need that. We need Draco to be just objectively bad, right? And then there's like another deleted scene, right, where Aunt Petunia, the woman who raises Harry or whatever, she goes to Harry, you lost a mother, but I also lost a sister. And it's like a really good scene because it like humanizes her. It shows like jealousy, longing, confusion, right? Like how does she feel? She's confused. She's jealous of her sister. She wants to be like her sister, right? Because she wants to be a wizard or a witch or whatever it is, but she can't. So she resents her sister for that, and then she's also sad that she lost her sister, right? And now she's got her little sister's fucking kid, right? And she's got to raise this kid. And so she's living this very complex life, and she's got all these emotions, and it manifests as her being a bitch. But this one moment, it shows that actually she's not inherently evil, right? She's actually, she's a person, right? She's got these conflicting emotions, and she's someone that actually, by all accounts, did a pretty decent thing, right? Raising someone else's child for 18 years, right? With complex motivations. But they just cut it. they were like, we can't have that. She needs to be the evil bitch aunt, right? And anything else, anything less than that is not good for how we want to frame this character and frame Harry's story, right? And then there's like a similar bit where Dudley shakes, Dudley, the fat retard, Harry's brother or something, Harry's cousin, I think. It's his cousin. Is like shaking Harry's hand and says something like, I'll miss you, or good luck, or something. And again, it's like a human moment. It's like, okay, Dudley's not a piece of shit. He was a spoiled brat growing up. He acted certain ways. He was mean to Harry. But actually, there was something of a relationship there. And that actually, he does have concern about Harry. And again, same thing. They just cut it, right? And it's like, everything about this film is like designed to reinforce the good people and bad people dichotomy. And I know people can say, well, look, it's a fucking children's novel, right? This is how they want, like, it's for kids, right? Or young adults. But it's like, well, that's not really an excuse. like you don't want to be teaching kids like these that people are just caricatures of morality. That's retarded, right? And it's like, so it leads to like left-wing introspection and right-wing introspection. It's like left-wingers might say, well, what conditions would allow someone like Voldemort, who is absolutely evil, what conditions would allow him to emerge, right? And then the right-wing view is like, could I have likewise become like that, right? Could I have become a bad person in the context of this film? And these ideas are just never explored. And Harry Potter like avoids both of these things, and it's like bad people appeared, and we're gonna fucking react to that because we're the good guys. And I think this relates to like a more abstract point, which I wasn't very sure whether to include this in. But this is like a very like feminine view of like the world, right? And I know this is going to be like controversial, but it is a very feminine view of the world. The books are very feminine in how the world is constructed and how the characters act within it, because they don't really shape the world; they just kind of react to things that happen, right? And that's like kind of like what women do. A lot of obviously not all women, right? But they just react basically to what other people do. Right, so you have like this crazy disruptive force, which is like Voldemort and the Death Eaters, Death Eaters, right? And they're like robbing, they're like killing, they're like threatening society. They're taking down London Bridge. We took down London Bridge. We blew up this one shop. And like, by the way, like this is just an aside, but they, this is like. It's so silly, like the stuff that they do. It's like cretinous. It's like, what are they planning when they do this? It's like, yeah, today we're gonna go and kill a Muggle family, right? It's like, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? Why are you doing that, right? Well, it's because we're baddies, right? That's it. Okay, and then so that you have them, they're like this disruptive force, and all the goodies do is just react to them. Right, they just react. They're just like, okay, the bad guys are here. We got to deal with them. Right, they never attempt to address like the root causes or the conditions that produce Voldemort. There's never any like introspection. Like, are we somehow responsible for this having happened? Like, either by our own personal moral failures or by society's. It's just like, oh no, we've just got to deal with this fucking thing, right? And again, it goes back to those two questions. The left-wing question is like, how did society allow this? How did society allow these cretins to fucking emerge, right? And then the right-wing question is like, well, could this have been me? It's like neither question appears. It's just this hyper-passive worldview where the default system is assumed to be correct and people are assumed to be decent, and any lapses from that is just something for us to react to, something for us to deal with. And it's like, it's so retarded, right? And you compare this to like the Hunger Games, which is also a very feminine view of revolution, but it's like it's much more on the it's like everything's bad, we're gonna fix it. Also, I'm in love with these people, and I'm beautiful, and I'm a celebrity, and everyone's filming me, right? It's like a very feminine view of revolution. But Harry Potter's like even more feminine. It's like you have this like objectively horrible society, right? Where it's like hierarchical system with slaves. Every 20 years, like some fucking lunatic rises to power and just starts killing people, right? If you're not magical but you were born into it, you're called a squib, and you just you just have this shit terrible life, and there's no questioning of it. Everything's like the presumed moral order is just like it's fine, and after all said and done, we're just gonna reinstate it, and Harry then just becomes an enforcer of the system. At the end, he becomes like an aura. I think that's what they're called. They're the wizard police, the the wizard police. Right? Problems are treated as external disruptions and not structural failures, and there's something for us to react to. Right, and then I wasn't sure whether to put this in, but Voldemort, it's like, as a character, is like this idea of like a woman's idea of what men are, right? Where they just show up and they just fuck, right? They just fuck everything, right? That's what Voldemort. He's just a man. He's a bloke, and he shows up and he just starts fucking everything, right? It's silly. So the worldview is basically summed up as everything's fine until someone tells you it's not okay. Then it's everyone else's fucking problem, and no one questions the underlying structure. So you're probably wondering, how does this all relate to Blairism? And I'm going to tell you. So besides the obvious things, you've got like the diversity, tokenism, whatever. Dumbledore's gay. You have like black characters and multiculturalism, and you got the Indian twins. It's like awesome. That's really cool. There's also like a weird like kind of security state vibe throughout the whole thing. It's like it's just like a security state, right? If you're under 18, you cast a fucking spell. They know it like that. They're on your shit. You get a letter, you're kicked out of fucking wizard school. Total surveillance. But that's like, those things are aesthetic. They're like superficial. The main, like the deep Blairite element is this obsession with the institutions, where like the institutions are just always assumed to be valid and correct, right? So the Ministry of Magic, you have this like hyper technocratic, managerial, bureaucratic system, right? And I remember watching the films, and they're just pouring in. Like, there's that scene where they're going through the toilets, and there's so many people, and I'm like, this is probably more people than in the Wizard. It's like everyone works for the fucking Ministry of Magic. There's like 2 jobs in Harry Potter. It's like Ministry of Magic or cretin, basically, someone who goes around fucking other people's shit up, right? Like Malfoy's dad. You're either a Minister of Magic, or you're a cretin, or you're a teacher, I guess. That's like the 3 jobs in the universe. But you have the Ministry of Magic. It's like this crazy bureaucracy, and the series never questions whether it, like, the institution is even functional, right? Because, like I said earlier, every fucking 20 years, some psychopath rises, massacres people, and no one's like, is the system flawed, right? Is the system flawed? So the moral solution in this context is always defeat the extremist fringe, restore the system, declare normality, and assume everything will be fine. And this is like basically Blairism. It's like this hyper reliance on the institutions, right? So if you look at like modern British politics, which is basically like the shadow of Blairism, right? Everything we have today is basically Blairism, where all criticism is focused on leaders, right? Bad leadership, poor leadership. Everything's like, they're not being sensible enough, right? They're not being rational. They're not being common sense. Or what do they call it? It's like normal. You know, remember when Keir Starmer was elected? You had all these lefties who were like posting on Twitter, and they were like, not even lefties. Like, the lefties weren't posting this. It was the liberals. It was like the middle people. They were like, can you hear that? The silence has returned. That's like, and it's like, because they think now that we've got someone with robust, sensible policies in charge of the institutions, everything's going to be fine. And they never ask themselves, are the institutions actually fucking working, right? Because I don't I don't see it. I don't see it fucking working. Like, you look at like the fucking Liz Truss episode, right? Whatever you think about that, whether she was right, whether she was wrong, whether she was screwed over or not, right? The solution presented is like more institutional safeguards, right? It's like we got to be more careful. We got to put in laws and rules that the Liz Truss thing can never happen again. Right, they're never thinking like systemic reform. They're never thinking, well, could the Bank of England have been responsible for this? And I'm not saying the Bank of England was, even though I think it probably was, but it's just like, no, hyper-reliance institutions. And like Harry Potter, like, embodies that worldview. It's like all structural issues are just completely ignored, and then at the end of everything, when all is said and done, they just reinstate the same system. They're like, actually, there was nothing wrong with the Ministry of Magic and the fact that we've got these fucking ghouls, and they're called, what are they called? The fucking, the flying fucking things, whatever. The ones that suck out your soul or whatever. Dementors. Dementors. You have these Dementors, right, and that's like a part of the system, and after all said and done, it's just like, reinstate it. It's ridiculous, and then declare victory at the end. That's like, oh, problem solved, we're done. I'm gonna become a defender of the system. And I wasn't really sure how to finish this, but I figured I end with a point on human nature. I saw a tweet by J.K. Rowling recently where someone asked her, they were like, what have you ever changed your mind on, right? And she goes, the biggest thing I changed my mind on was I used to think everything was nurture, and now I realize a lot of things are actually human nature. Right, so 20 years ago, she thinks everything is nurture, right? You aren't a bad person implicitly, you're a bad person because society molds you into becoming that thing, right? And presumably that applies to other sort of measurable attributes like intelligence and whatever. Nurture is the most important thing. And then now she says, actually, I believe nature, right? As an example of her having changed her mind. But her revealed preferences, as shown in how she writes Harry Potter, just completely contradicts that claim, right? Harry Potter, at the time she said she believes in nurture, Harry Potter is entirely driven by this idea of nature, right? You're either a wizard or you're not a wizard, right? You're either a muggle or you're a fucking not a muggle. You're either good or you're bad. The Sorting Hat literally categorizes kids based on nature. You have this fucking bastard hat, and it's just like, right, you're a Slytherin. You're a piece of shit, right? You're a fucking cunt, and there's no redemption for you. And then characters like rarely escape their nature. Snape is like the only one with any degree of moral complexity throughout the whole thing, and even that's like really superficial. It's just like, guys, I was actually a good guy. It's shit. Like James Potter, Harry Potter's dad, he's a bastard, right? And at school, and that's just like never acknowledged. It's talked about, right? Yeah, he was mean to Snape, but it's never really explored. It's just like, oh, that's just the thing. But he's why? Because he's the good character. He's Harry's dad. He's a goodie. There's no moral introspection at any point. There's never any point where characters address themselves. Could that have been me? What's wrong with the system? Does what we have fundamentally work? And I just think it's fucking crazy. As far as books go, like the more I think about this fucking series, the crazier it is. I could rant on Harry Potter and ramble about Harry Potter for fucking ages. And I'm not saying there aren't good elements to the book. I don't want people to think this is me being like, fuck Harry Potter, fuck J.K. Rowling, fuck it. I'm not saying that, right? I'm not trying to be hypercritical. What I am saying is this it is a fucking thing. Like, this problem is a thing. Final point. There's a really I when I was researching this, because I was thinking about this, but there is an article by this bloke called Jeremy Gilbert called Harry Potter and the Third Way, and he kind of talks about how like Harry Potter's basically like Blairism, right? And it's from 2001. And when I was drafting up the original script in this video, and I was like, I wonder if anybody else has talked about this, and I googled Harry Potter Blairism, and it kind of talks about everything, right? But it does it in like a more political way. It's like this idea of like education, be yourself, trust your teachers. But it seems like at least some other people are noticing this. I don't know. Well, anyway, that's it. That's my first first rant. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if this is any good. I just thought this whole thing was crazy. I mean, the more I was thinking about it, I was like, this is fucking nuts. And I figured this would be good slop content to put out.